Hello. How are you doing?
Hey, how are you?
I'm doing good.
Hi, Annette. Hi, Annette. This is Gail. Can you hear me?
Yeah, Gail, how are you doing
I'm
today?
doing okay.
Good, good.
It's turning cold here in Florida.
Yes, it is.
I know, yeah. They say Friday is gonna be like in another city somewhere.
Yeah, I was looking at that.
Mhm.
I'm leaving out of Florida tomorrow, but it's
Mhm.
not gonna be better over
I
there.
know, no better. Well,
Mm-mm.
Jacksonville, not, but actually it's gonna be colder. Well, what
Yeah,
you're saying, yeah.
it's yeah, I know. I guess that's why everybody's out trying to get the
Mhm.
shopping done.
Yeah.
That is crazy.
They say
Well,
the highway traffic is bumper to bumper, so I
I
don't like being in that. Mm-mm.
I know, I know.
Yeah.
Like tomorrow, I don't know.
Mhm.
Not feeling so hot, so I need to finish packing, but
Yeah.
we got to hit that road.
I know, yeah, get out there
Yes.
early. Me too.
There's another meeting too.
Where's another one at 7 o'clock? I think John Beyond, he comes on market analysis at 7.
Oh, I wonder if he's doing
Yeah.
if they're doing a live or if it's in the group.
Yeah, 'cause it just says market analysis with John Bianchi. Uh,
Okay, okay.
market analysis workshop. Yeah, workshop. So
That's gonna be cool.
mhm.
Hello, Hasina, and I'm sure I'm gonna butcher this name, but Madido?
It's Maria. Hi, thank you.
Hi, Maria. Oh, okay. All right, we'll get started in about another minute, just giving people a little bit of time to get into the meeting.
For holiday as well. That's just 4 days before Christmas, and you can see here, that's probably ministry.
All right, hello everyone. We're gonna go ahead and get started. And this is the operations class that Rachel has me leading once a month. So hopefully you guys come back every month just to kind of see what's going on here. So basically, the operations is just things that you do to keep your business running. Like once you get the keys, one of the things that I found when I did my first short-term rental is once I got the keys, I was kind of like in a fog. What needs to be done? What doesn't need to be done? What can wait? What was the priority of things? So that was a little bit of a hectic time when you start, doing your STR, and you have to worry about the design and how it looks and everything. And that's all wonderful and beautiful, but you also have to make sure that you're setting up the property from an operation standpoint where your guests are taken care of. And if you are needing to, make sure that the guest doesn't have any interrupted stay for things that could be prevented. So I myself, for those of you who don't know me, I've been a nurse for 26 years. Early last year, I got a little burnt out with being a nurse and all the different things. I was in corporate sector of nursing, and I just ran across this short-term rental idea and just decided that, okay, let me try this and see where it goes. And so I started off with doing arbitrage. I currently arbitrage 2 units in 2 different states, and I live in another state from those 2 states. And then I'm also building. I'm building my first STR ownership home. It's going to be about a block and a half away from the beach. So it's, it's a little beach place that we're trying to set up there. And also I recently got into co-hosting, helping others who don't have time for the day-to-day operations to get started with their business. Some people just, they want to be an STR investor, but they are really looking for it to be passive. But there are STR things that's pretty much, yeah, Georgia, wonderful. 26 years of nursing, huh? I'm sure we both got stories. But yeah, so sometimes there's passive investors who really want to get started and in the STR business, but don't want to do the day-to-day. So I've been assisting a couple of people with setting up their day-to-day operations to either automate, eliminate something, or delegate something. So that's where I like to be. I like to do operations because as a nurse, I'm constantly solving problems. So it's second nature to solve a problem, for me. So, but having said that, this session here is going to be called not if, but when. And I'm a preventive kind of person when it comes to STRs and your operations. I really like to go from the standpoint of being ahead of the curve. So because I was new, I didn't know a lot of things to be able to prepare. So I want to help and give you guys a little bit of head start on some of these things that may or probably will come up if you're in STR investing for enough time. So the first one I want to talk about is not if, but when your guests complained that the place is dirty. Unfortunately, there are some people who don't have all the best intentions. And so they basically will come into the home to try to get a free night stay or a free 3 to 4 day stay. And then, it's like, okay, what do you mean it's not clean? And so one of the ways that I've learned to be able to, combat that problem is making sure that my cleaner provides me before cleaning pictures and after cleaning pictures. And there are certain things that at that after clean that I specify for her to send to me. And one of them is making sure that I want a picture of the TV turned on. Because if the TV is broken, the guest breaks the TV, I want to have proof to say, hey, this TV was not broken before you checked in. Okay, and the way that I found to be able to do that is capturing it with pictures from the cleaners. And it really doesn't take that long for the cleaners to snap the pictures. You know, some might say, well, what if the cleaner want to push back and say they don't want to do the pictures? Most cleaners who do short-term rental cleaning, they already know that they are going to be expected to send pictures. And when I'm hiring my cleaner, I let them know that right from the very beginning that I'm going to need pictures, and I will not pay until I've seen the pictures and verified in the pictures that the home is to my liking. So another thing that I have them to do is I take pictures of sinks, toilets, like I need up close in-person pictures, like as if I'm looking at it right there myself. I need those pictures to be very clear so that if a guest says something, I can always say, okay, this is the condition of the sink or the toilet before you arrive. And so that will help you with any type of complaints the guests might make towards Airbnb. And you can just provide those pictures to Airbnb, and they will say, oh, okay, well, this picture was taken on whatever day it was. I usually, I have iPhones, so they timestamp the pictures. Or if it's through a messaging app, it's timestamped when they send the pictures. So that'll help for to say, okay, there wasn't hair in the sink before you got there because the cleaner just left there. So pictures before and after are really huge. And one of the things, if for whatever reason you have a parking pass, some facilities require you to only park one car, two cars in a driveway, and then you have to park all the other cars off street somewhere else. That requires a parking pass. You want to make sure that the cleaner is also capturing that in the photos. So you want to make sure that the remote controls are in the photos. I suggest having a little box. They have little clear boxes you can purchase on Amazon that you put right next to the TV, and the remote is dropped in there. So when the cleaner takes the photo of the TV on, you can see the TV on and the remote control all in that one shot. So it really helps you to kind of help the remote controls from walking away and things of that nature. So, and it's not about, oh, okay, I have a really good cleaner and, I don't have that avatar that comes in and that's going to make a false claim. People who make false claims really don't have a class. It's not a certain class of people who do that. What I found that anyone who feels something is not up to their standard also may complain about it. But if you can prove that it's clean, then that's not an issue as long as you have the pictures. So pictures are really, really important when your cleaner is going. And the reason I have her to take the pictures before is because I want to see whether or not the guest left the property in good condition. Okay. Not to say that they have to clean up everything, but I want to know if the place is trashed. A lot of times your cleaner will say that it took them extra time. They will say that it required different cleaning solutions that they had to purchase. So if the cleaner takes that picture right then when she walks through the door and sends you that, you can then use those pictures for any claim that you want to put towards the guest. So if the guest is saying, oh, we didn't do anything, then you can provide the proof. And if the cleaner is charging you an additional fee, because most cleaners will charge you an additional fee to do a deep cleaning, or if a place is really, really messy and it requires more of their time, they're going to charge you an extra fee. So you want to make sure that you get from that cleaner those pictures, and they will need to send you an invoice detailing whether or not they had to do a deep clean or just additional cleaning with those prices on there. And then you can submit that. And it can't just be a letter. It has to be something that has it has their company name or their name, address, phone number. And sometimes I think they even require, like, if the cleaner is a company, they require like a website. So you want to make sure your cleaner submits all of that to you so that you can send it over to Airbnb and make a claim so that you can recoup some of that money that was lost for having an extra clean or any damages like that. Okay. Any questions about the cleaning, the pictures, anything like that, the process?
No, that's a good process, because I guess we didn't think about the cleaning team trying to get over on you too, but as I think about it, you can do that too, yeah.
Yeah.
And that's a good plan to have those pics for, you said, I guess we was thinking we were in a luxury type business, but you would think people wouldn't complain, but I guess if they want their money back or want to get some of it back, this is the way that they'll go.
Oh, yeah, yeah. That type of behavior has no class.
I know,
You can get someone who's paying, $600 a night and they're thinking this how the trip should be or something, and it's not going the way that they want it. And they can easily, just make a false claim so they can try to get their money back. Because honestly, Airbnb does favor guests
yeah,
more than they do the host. I hear that they're trying to get away from that, but I always try to make sure that I'm prepared
yeah,
just in case and have the proof to show this is an issue that was caused by the guests.
right.
Ms. Annette, I have a question.
Uh-huh.
How do you, and it's kind of on the topic, but not really. How do you go about finding value? Like because it almost sounds like the cleaners are indispensable. Like they're your boots on the ground, sounds like.
Mhm.
So how do you make sure you find one if you don't know them, you're not in the area, your house isn't in the area, or the people you're co-hosting for or you're arbitraging are not in the area? Like how do you do that? I think that we're about to close on our property and it's in Michigan, we're in Indiana, and I'm just really worried that we
Mhm.
won't be able to find someone, because I'm a clean, when I go to a hotel, the first pictures I look at is the bathroom, and if it's not right, I'm not staying there.
Right.
So I mean, off the top, I go to TripAdvisor, look at all the bathroom pictures from the people who stay there, not the stock pictures. So
Mhm.
I know that's important to me, and I would want my cleaner to be on that level too. And I don't know how you find that person
Well,
remotely.
you start by referrals. So if you know anyone in the area, or you can go on to Facebook groups. Usually there's a Facebook group for every area. I don't know what part of Michigan you are in, but I co-host a property in Michigan, and I just got accepted into one of those Facebook groups for Michigan hosts. So Facebook is really good. And what I do with Facebook is I prefer recommendations rather than
Mhm.
someone saying, hey, I clean. So
Okay.
I take it, but sometimes you get, you don't get a recommendation. You might just get someone to say, hey, I'm a clean. But my first person that I interview is a person who was recommended by someone else. And you want to know if they, not just a cleaner, you don't want just a cleaner. You need a cleaner who's used to short-term rental cleaning. It's a different type of cleaning that's needed versus someone who cleans, come in and clean somebody's house every day. It's way more detailed. You have to be, looking under beds and checking drawers to make sure people are not leaving anything. So it's a little bit more extensive. So you want to make sure that person has short-term rental experience with cleaning before hiring them on. Just everyday cleaners is not going to work. So once you reach out to Facebook, there's also Turnover B&B. I have used them once and it went fine many months ago. But you can sign up there as a backup. And I always like people to get at least two cleaners. One is hard, I know, but if you can get a second one as a backup, because sometimes the cleaner may not be able to go as quick as you need them to go turn the unit, or the cleaner might not be working on a holiday, or that cleaner, if she's by herself and doesn't have a team, she may not have any coverage for you. She may not be able to, get there. So I recommend having two, but using one as your main cleaner, and the second one, you just let them know that, hey, I have a cleaner that I'm gonna use full time, but I would like for you to be my backup cleaner in the case that she's not available. And what I find with the cleaners is you have to be very detailed about your expectations from the very beginning. From the very beginning, you have to be, about those expectations. If you have duvet covers, you want them to take the part that you stuff in the duvet is missing me right now, but you want them to take the duvet off every time. Some people don't do that. And so that's how you get hairs left behind, because so yeah, you definitely want to make sure you vet your cleaner, make sure you're asking all the things. Are they willing to change a battery if you need the battery on your camera, security camera? It's going low and you're out of town. You're not going to fly back to town or drive back to town to change the battery. So you want to make sure that they're able to assist you with that if that's needed. So those are things you get out, from the very beginning. The payment process, you want to know how they expect to be paid, when they expect to be paid. You need to know all of that from the very beginning. And that way you set the expectations, you set the tone of how you're going to interact with that cleaner. A lot of cleaners are also good for, one of my cleaners, I send things to her house. If I need something in the unit, I just send it to her house. She brings it in there the next time that she's there to clean. And no problem with that. There's no additional fee because she's going there anyway, or anything like that. Or if I needed her to do something, run over to the place and she's not going to clean, but I need her to go over there and do something, then of course you have to, pay a little extra for that. But you want to make sure that your cleaner is happy because they are your eyes for whatever is going on with the property.
Okay, thank you so much for that. Our property is in Mears, Michigan, so it's in Western Michigan, but not quite like all the way at the top. It's like in the middle on the beach,
Okay.
but on the
Okay.
west side of
Yeah,
the
I would
city.
definitely go into some Facebook groups and ask for recommendations from hosts in there. People have suggested you go on Airbnb and you find hosts already. I would not recommend that because you might get reported for spam and then Airbnb kick you off the platform. So, to me, it's not worth it. You can find
Okay.
what you need pretty much on Facebook. And then neighborhood groups too. Like I think there's an app called Neighbor. You can find cleaners there. I found a cleaner also on Thumbtack.
Okay.
And I found a handyman on TaskRabbit. So there's a couple of different sources you can use to try to find your cleaner and maintenance team.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Annette, I have a question.
Mhm.
How do you communicate with cleaners? Do you use text messaging or do you use Loom?
No, I use text messages. We use the WhatsApp. We use that platform, and we text back and forth through there. Mhm.
Oh, what platform?
It's called WhatsApp.
WhatsApp.
Yeah,
WhatsApp.
WhatsApp.
Okay.
Mhm. Yeah. And so you can even, what I love about WhatsApp too, even if you're out of the country or something, you can still use it without having to pay, extra fees or whatever. So it's really good for communicating with the cleaners. And then you get to see, the thread, the pictures. My cleaners send the pictures through that WhatsApp also. And
Mhm.
so it doesn't, it's not as bad as like iPhone where it's using up a whole lot of storage. And if they need to send me a video, they can also send the video through WhatsApp also. Mhm. Mhm.
Thank-
You're welcome. All right, any other questions about cleaning, guys? All right, our next not if, but when situation is when a guest requests a refund. You're going to get a guest who's asking for a refund at some point. Um, and what I say about a refund is it should be a last resort, okay? You need to follow your cancellation policy. Most of the time, my policy is strict, which means once you book it, there's no refund. But there are going to be times, matter of fact, I got a call this morning from a former LSA person, and the guest was requesting to refund almost $2,000 stay for 3 or 4 days, and because she claimed that she could not get on a flight to come to the property. The flight was canceled. So, of course, you don't want to be um, harsh with the guest, but you have to verify the information, whether or not she had a reservation, first of all, and that second of all, was that flight indeed canceled? Okay. Before, if I verify all of that, before I give a refund, I'm going to offer a couple of things. One thing I would offer her is to reschedule her visit. Okay. So if she was planning to come on Wednesday for 7 days, then I would say to her, because of our cancellation policy, I'm not able to provide a refund, but I'm willing to allow you to book 7 days in the future for that same amount. Okay. So that secures, your money for that booking. And also it gives the service that you intended to give in the first place. That was the 7 days. Unfortunately, Mother Nature does things that we all cannot control. So we have to make adjustments. The other option, which I have done myself for other guests, is I ask them to be the one to cancel the reservation. And I put in the app, in the Airbnb app, that if they cancel the reservation and I'm able to rebook those days, I will provide them a refund for the days I'm able to book. Okay. So that means if they book 7 days and those 7 days are blocked on my calendar for their reservation, they need to unblock it with the cancellation. But if I only book 3 or 4 of those days, then I'm only going to return them the 3 or 4 days that I received from the other guests. Okay. If I'm able to do the entire 7 days, book the entire 7 days, then I give them their refund, as long as it matches what I was able to recoup. Okay. So that has worked a couple of times actually for me. But you have situations where, certain times of the year, like now, certain areas are really hot. Although, a lot of people are seeing less bookings, but there are certain areas that's really hot, like places where there's ski resorts and things of that nature. So if someone booked your calendar for, let's say, Christmas holiday, 7 days, that's a big thing. And so a couple of days before Christmas, it might be a little difficult to rebook those days. unless someone has some last minute plans. So you don't want to be out of your money because everyone is doing this so that they can make money. But you don't want to be out of your money because of something that you were not at fault for, and the guest was not at fault for it also. So it's a kind of win-win for you both. Maybe not in the circumstances that you prefer, but in the long run, you have to think if you were booking, let's say the Marriott, and they have a no cancellation policy, it's no cancellation. They don't provide a refund. So at times you're going to be caught in between that, oh, I feel bad situation, but you can't take it personal. I think you can still be businesslike with a personal touch. And that personal touch is saying, hey, if I'm able to make my money back, then I'll give you that money back. To me, that I think that's very reasonable. But you will get a guest at some point who will ask for a refund, and you're going to have to decide which way to go. And I would always say, before you provide the refund, trust, then verify. Verify that what they're telling you is correct. Okay? Because some people just want to get a free stay. You know, there's been instances where people charge back stays that they've made at Airbnb. And so, or, you know, if you're doing a direct booking, someone charges it back, you're out of that money because now the credit card company is going to take that money from you. So always trust and verify everything when a guest is trying to get a refund. Don't automatically give them the refund. Just take a minute to figure out whether or not you need to give them a refund. Okay. All right, Miss Sophia, what you got?
I guess I'm trying to figure out, well, what is the purpose of the cancellation policy if we're going backwards and forwards with this? Because I'm thinking immediately about the opportunity cost that I'm missing, and all of these disclaimers I've given them before. So is it more of a customer service type scenario? I would think that's why I give you notice up front. So are we going through this process of, is this really beyond your control each time they ask for a refund? Or is this kind of, you know, severe cases that you may lapse your policy?
Well, I always try to stick to my cancellation policy. And the thing that you will learn with most people don't read. So they booked your place and didn't realize that you had a strict policy, because you can have different levels of cancellation on Airbnb, Vrbo, all of that. But if the guest is not reading no refund, then they expect that, oh, if something happens a month later, then I'll just ask for my money back. But that's not good business. And that's also, why should you have to suffer because that person did not read? You know, I've had someone to cancel within 24 hours because he didn't read my house rules. And then when he did read the house rules, he had already paid a couple of $1,000s to stay in my place. And so he wanted a refund. Well, that's not my fault you didn't read, because it says several times in my listing what the rules are. And immediately when you book, you get a copy of the rules. So that was, you know, something on his part, but he did not push it. He understood that, you know, I was running a business, but I was able to give him a full refund because luckily a couple of days later, I was booked for all the days that he had canceled. So you always want to verify, stick to your cancellation policy. There might be some times where you just have to talk to the guest. I prefer to keep everything in the platform because something written, because people can say you said anything over the phone, you know. Sometimes you might have to pick up the phone and put something in the platform, but when you call them, always recap your conversation in that platform. Always do that. That way, when Airbnb goes to look at it, because guests will call Airbnb and say, oh, they don't want to do this and they told me they would do that. But if you have it recapped in the messaging, then that guest is less likely to call Airbnb and say something differently. But stick to your cancellation policy. You know, but if you feel like it's reasonable, you know, it's a death and they can show proof that there's a, you know, death, a close family member death, then something like that, I would bend my rules. But they would have to show me proof. Mhm. Did that answer your question, Ms. Sophia?
Yes, ma'am, it did. Thank you.
Okay, you're welcome. All right, our next not if but when is guests leaving biased reviews and retaliatory reviews. So it's not a matter of if it's going to happen, it's when it's going to happen. You're going to get that guest who didn't get the refund that they wanted. And so they came to your place anyway and decided that, okay, I'm just going to leave them a really bad review because I didn't get what I wanted. So the way that I combat that problem is, like I said, I put everything in the platform. Everything has to be in the platform. And usually guests, when they put reviews, they don't think about what they're saying and whether or not it meets the rules and guidelines of Airbnb. Airbnb has certain rules and guidelines that all reviews have to follow, even yours. So if a guest puts something, like one time my guest put something about the place was nice, but I could have got it cheaper if I had went in other places. And it had nothing to do with my place. So I was able to have that review removed because she gave me a 4-star. Anything less than 5 is not good. So even a 4-star is not good. So it was a 4-star and she had biased information. She put in information that I had no control over. She can't say that my place was too expensive because she could have got another place cheaper. That doesn't follow the guidelines. Airbnb guidelines, the main one is that it has to be, the review has to be something that the next guest can use, okay? So if they're saying, oh, it was noisy upstairs, there was someone, you know, running all night long, there was loud noise in the parking lot, that kind of review will stick because that is what their experience was, okay? But I had another guest who said that everything was great with the place. She loved it, backyard, everything, the fully stocked kitchen. But when she left, I wouldn't give her extra time to leave because it was after 10 o'clock. And she said that I was sitting in the parking lot staring at her while they were leaving, and then I drove behind her. Kind of impossible for me to do that if I'm in Florida and she's in Michigan. So it wasn't a fact-based review. It was something that was totally nonsense. So that one was easily removed, easily removed. So you always want to use the Airbnb rules when trying to dispute any type of review. And the other way you can save yourself from getting retaliatory reviews is in a situation where the guest leaves the place a mess. Then what I would do and what I do is I wait until the 13 and a half day after the guest leaves. Because more than likely that 13 and a half day is going to be late at night. I'm going to post my review at that 13 and a half day. Once I post my review, then the guests will receive an email saying, you know, Annette has reviewed you. And now it's, you know, you can go ahead and review her. Well, most guests don't realize that on the 14th day, after that, you can't leave, you can't leave a review. So my review then becomes public. And I also don't ask for damages or any type of money from the guest until that 13 and a half day. I think you have 30 days or 60 days to request damages and money loss with Airbnb. So I wait until the 13 and a half day, and that helps me from getting a retaliatory review, because hopefully by the time the guest sees the email, it has timed out and they can no longer leave the review. Okay, Elena, yes. So when you do the who removes the Airbnb review, Airbnb does. You cannot remove a review. If the guest, if for whatever reason you can't have the review removed, then you want to have the guest to, you have the option to respond, okay? And when you respond with that review, you do not want to be defensive, okay? If it's something that's wrong in, you know, your standard operations procedures, you need to fix that. You need to tell future guests in that response that you're working on it to fix that situation. You need to let someone else know, okay, this happened, I recognize it, and now we're going to do something about it, okay? If it's retaliatory and you're defensive, it shows to a upcoming guest that you're not willing to work on your business, okay? There's a way to be able to say that that was not a great guest. One of the main ones I use is, this guest is not a good fit for our property. So that let future hosts know that there was an issue at the property without me spelling it all out. Mhm. All right, any other questions about the reviews?
Annette,
Yeah,
so would you put that the guest was not a good fit for our property in response to their review, or just when you do their review?
I put it in their review, and and if they leave a review, I respond saying the same thing.
Okay,
Mhm.
thank you.
Or you know, we wouldn't welcome them back or something like that. But I usually just use the not a good fit. That's a little softer, I think. Hey, Ryan.
Hi. So I guess when I'm thinking about bad reviews, I could see that they potentially would hurt more initially if you have less reviews. Is there a certain number of reviews that Airbnb waits for before they give you a star rating? Because I imagine if you've got, 3 5-star reviews and then you run into an issue with your cleaner or something and you get a 1-star review, then it all of a sudden you look
Yeah.
terrible.
Yeah, it's a hard climb, and I've climbed that hill. It's a really hard climb. So Airbnb reviews each host every 3 months for the super host status. So like right now, they're reviewing for January 1st or 2nd, whenever they do it. Okay, so it's every 3 months you have that opportunity. I believe you have to have at least 10 stays of 4.8. So you can have like a 4, but you're gonna need like maybe 8 or 9 5s to kind of balance that 4 out. You wouldn't even realize how much damage that 1 4 will cost. But it's a smaller hill to climb than a 1, of course. But yeah, you have to have a certain criteria, and I want to say it is 10 stays. You can have cancellations. I think they only allow you 1, but you never want to cancel a reservation. You always want the guest to cancel. always try to get the guests to cancel, because that not only destroys your superhost possibility of getting that, it will also move you down in the algorithm. You know, you'll go from page 2 to page 20 in a heartbeat. If for canceling guests, because you're telling Airbnb that you don't want business, and that messes up Airbnb's business. Okay, so yeah, you
Got
have
it.
to have 10 stays, you have to have that 4.8. That's why 4 stars is not to go. I know some people are okay with 4 stars, but you don't want too many of those to balance out.
Yeah, do you ever transmit in a nice way to your guests that, hey, 5 stars or nothing, please?
Um, actually, what I do is I explain to them what the 5-star means. Okay, so 5 stars, and my review goes something like 5 stars is doesn't mean that it was perfect. Just means that it was a good stay. And then I think when you get, and then explain what a 4-star is, then a 3-star, and I think a 1-star, it says you just want to burn the place down. It's so bad. So I kind of let them know what Airbnb sees as a 5-star, because a lot of times people want to say that your place is not a 5-star because it's not Caesar's Palace. Well, that's not what you signed up for. You didn't sign up for Caesar's Palace. You signed up for, this unit here. And so if one thing is off, they'll give you a 4-star. But 5-star doesn't mean that you have the perfect place. It doesn't mean you have Caesar's Palace. And so you have to educate the guests on that. And so I will send them a message one time. And that one time is after they check out, I will send it to them. I also have on my refrigerator, there's some Etsy magnets, some magnets that you could purchase off Etsy that explains the 5-star rating, and it'll have what a 5-star is, 4-star, 3-star. And there's a lot of hosts besides myself who put them on a refrigerator, and they have seen their ratings change just because by educating the guests what 5 stars mean. All right, Ryan, you still there? You
Yes, super
Okay.
helpful. Thank you. That's
Okay.
all information that we're going to utilize. Sorry,
Yeah,
got a
absolutely.
Screaming child in
Yeah,
the background. He's happy, not sad.
that's a 5-star right there. All right, let's see. Sophia said, what if the guests stay and don't leave reviews? Does that affect your status? No, it doesn't. Some guests you don't want to leave a review. Some of you just don't give me a review. Don't bother. And it doesn't like hurt your 5-star rating. It's not that you get a 0. It's just as if they just didn't want to leave. So we do encourage people who, especially those who we did not have any issues with. I find like people who have small families are really good at leaving good reviews. So I definitely try to send them a message, 5 to 7 days later saying, hey, if you haven't reviewed us, we appreciate, if you would take a few moments just to review us, on the platform and things like that. So yeah, it doesn't hurt you if they don't. All right, next we have not if, but when for electronic locks. When an electronic lock does not work, that will really hurt your listing if your electronic lock does not work. So what I have placed in process is to have a backup key. Okay, and you need to have a backup key, either with your boots on the ground person who can run over there, or I actually prefer having a lockbox somewhere hidden. I've checked into places and I've seen them, hidden on on a meter, a gas meter, which is not good. I wouldn't want my guests playing around with that. But I would find some secure place to place that lockbox. And have that extra key. That way, if that guest calls and there's some reason they can't get in, these electronic locks are not foolproof. I don't care who says, oh, this is a great lock, Slage. I personally use August. You know, with these electronic locks, if the lock itself is bent where the guest is leaving the lock engaged and then they're letting the door slam, it can bend the lock, and there's a motor in there that's not very forceful, and if it won't have enough force to be able to lock and unlock the lock. So it's good to have a backup on somewhere around your property where guests can access it to say, hey, I'm sorry this happened. We're gonna have our maintenance person come out and see what's going on. But in the meantime, if you go here, this is where you can find the key to be able to unlock the door. Okay. And I also suggest if it's a home and you have a back door, that you have a different lock on that back door with a different code. I usually give the codes to my guests by noon on a day of check-in, because I never want them to go there while I already have a guest there. Sometimes I have people coming out and going in on the same day. So that's a security thing that I do, where I don't provide the codes for doors until around noon.
Do you sometimes send out the email like a prophylactic email, like, oh, this is the code for the thing, but in case it malfunctions, which it rarely does, the lockbox is here, or do you just wait until it malfunctions?
No, I wait until there's an issue. I always ask my guests what time they're planning to arrive. And they're really, good about that. Because usually after 10 o'clock at night is my cutoff. But if a guest tells me that they're coming later, I'll make sure. I'm always on high alert whenever I have a guest checking in to make sure that their guest checked in properly. So I will either get a camera alert that somebody's at the door. So then I know whether or not they were able to make it in. And so if they're at the door and they can't get in, my camera, I can actually talk from my phone into the camera. So I don't even have to call them. And I'll just tell them what needs to be done, or have them to give me a call.
Okay.
So yeah, I always make sure my guests get in. Let's see, Maria says, does it help your chances of a good rating if you have guests that have a 5-star rating? No, it doesn't help your chances of getting a 5-star rating, but you know that these are reasonable people. When you see that they have 5 stars, then they know how to take care of your property. Because let's face it, your property is more valuable than a 5-star. Okay. So if you see that these people haven't had, they've been on Airbnb for 2 or 3 years, they have 5 or 6 reviews and they've gotten all 5 stars, then you pretty much can feel at ease that, okay, this is going to be a good guest. They're not going to break my house rules and things of that nature. And they usually, if they have a lot of reviews, they usually are good at reviewing their hosts. There is a Google extension that you can put on Google Chrome, where once your guest books, you can see what they wrote about other hosts. And so that kind of helps you to understand their needs. If they were like, oh, didn't have enough towels, then, towels is a big thing to them. So you would tell your cleaner, hey, make sure you leave out sufficient number of towels for the guests, instead of, maybe you just do 2 sets of towels. Well, this person here is particular about towels, so we're going to leave them 3 sets,
Okay, thanks. That's good to know. I didn't know about that extension, that Google Chrome extension, so it's good to know.
Yeah, I
The
think
tip.
it's Airbnb review.
Okay,
Yeah, I think that's what it is. Mhm.
thanks.
You're welcome. All right, Ryan, do you have another question or you can still?
Sorry, that was from before. I'll
That's
put it
okay,
down.
that's okay. Okay, and the last thing I want to talk to you guys about is ceiling fans. Like I'm here in the South, and in the South, everyone loves to have a ceiling fan in their rooms, in the living room. But I'm gonna suggest that when you put a ceiling fan up, that you don't put a ceiling fan up with a string. It is not, if the guest is going to break that string, it is when they're gonna pull too hard and break that string. Um, I found that it's best to put up ceiling fans that you can control from the electrical switch, from the switch that's by the door, just like you control the light. So those are better because, and even one that you don't have to use a remote control, because remote controls get lost. But if you can't find one that you can just connect to the electrical switch, the remote control would be the next best thing. But I would definitely be able to, at some point, either just be able to turn it on or off, because guests will break that string, and then you can't do anything with the ceiling fan. And if it has the light on it too, then you might not be able to do anything with the light. You can't turn it off. And here you got the next guest coming in, and your ceiling fan string is broken. The cleaner didn't notice it because that's not something she normally looks for. But now the guest is complaining that the ceiling fan is not working. And in the South, it gets pretty hot. And, even though we're Southerners, we don't like to be hot. So that's one of the things I feel like is one of those things that get overlooked, but it's something that you really need to pay attention to um, whenever you're putting any type of appliance, any type of fixtures that are electrical. You need to make sure that you put it in a way that cannot be destroyed by your guests, or you have another way to operate it if the guests were to mess it up. All right, guys, it's like 5 minutes to 7. I'll take whatever questions you have about anything that I've said or about something else, that's fine. You can unmute and go and fire away.
Annette, this is Maria again. I have a question about the ceiling fan. So how do you adjust the speed, or how would your guest adjust the speed of the fan if it's connected to the light switch?
Um, the ceiling fan that I'm talking about has
Mhm.
like a thing by the light switch where it's like 1, 2, 3, or 4, and you just move
Okay,
it up and down to
gotcha.
adjust the speed. Mhm.
Okay, that
There
makes
are
sense.
some
Thanks.
ceiling fans that have a little number pad where when you install it, the electrician puts the number pad in where the switch would be, and you have
Yeah,
like a stop button in the middle and then 1 through 5 around it.
yeah, yeah.
So that's
We
another
had that
option.
at the retreat, in the place that we stayed at the retreat, for Rachel's retreat. It was very nice. I was like, oh, I like this one. So very easy. All right, no more questions. Well, I hope you guys learned a little something. Even if you don't have a property right now, this is the time to learn about operations, because once you hit the ground running, you're gonna be so flustered about, okay, am I gonna get a guest? Am I gonna get a guest? And I don't want you to be panicking about the simplest things, how to handle things, because it's always so easy. I think it's easy to acquire a property, whether it's arbitrage or purchasing one. And most people think that that's the difficult part, but I remember that feeling once I got the keys and didn't know which way to go. So um, if you guys have any questions in the meantime, you can always hit me up in Slack. I'm there. Or you can follow me on IG, NurseNets AED, where I will be dropping little operation tips couple of times a week going forward.
Thank you.
All right, guys, y'all welcome. Y'all have a great evening and happy holidays to everyone. Be careful, be safe, be blessed.
Happy holidays. Thank
All
you.
right, bye-bye.
And
How's it going, everybody?
Hi, John. How are you?
Good,
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 good.
good.
It's so nice to see everybody. Now that I've met most of everyone on this call, it's awesome. Looking forward to it. I don't know if Rachel's on this call. I see someone from her team. Usually she's on here to get things started.
Yeah, I'm not sure if Rachel's planning on joining or not. I'm just here to make sure that everyone is able to access it okay.
Gotcha. Okay. That's totally fine if we want to do that as well.
Cool. Yeah, I think that you're good to just jump right in.
Yeah, just get going. Okay. So wanted to start off by saying also first off, like, great to see everybody here. I'm really happy that I got to meet most of you guys either through a Zoom or in person. I love working with all of you guys, just so you know. So I want to try and bring as much value as I can during this call. Wanted to also just start off by saying that I am a little bit under the weather. I don't know what's going on today, just like really low on energy, but I'm just going to do my best to try and deliver as much as I possibly can over the next hour. And then on top of that, I actually just wanted to take questions from you guys. Usually when I do some of these calls, I like to I'll have this sort of presentation ready to go. But generally when I'm speaking with you guys, I like to just open it up to questions and answer the questions live right here as we go through it. If we run out of questions, I promise you I can come up with some stuff that we can talk about. But yeah, so if anyone has any questions, then please speak and we can start answering them.
Well, John, this is Sophia. I found a property that I may be potentially interested in, and I've kind of ran some preliminary numbers with AirDNA and DataRabbit, but I'm not sure if I did it right. So what would you suggest on how I start before I can officially get on a call with you? Or what should I do?
Have you gotten your market analysis from me yet?
I haven't. I have an appointment with you in January 9th.
Okay, what market are you in?
I'm looking at Gulf Shores, Orange Beach in
Okay.
Alabama.
Okay, and your process was using Rentalizer and Rabu and trying to figure out what number they predicted?
Yes.
Okay. If you've ever heard me speak, you know that I hate those tools.
Yes, I know. I said, well, I see what
Yeah.
I see there. I said, but I think John could probably narrow it down a little bit more for me. So,
what I'll do.
yeah, I'm not even sure if I'm looking at those. Am I looking at the correct numbers? They look like it may be okay.
Right.
But I'm not sure outside of getting a full analysis with you how I would look at it.
The difference with going through me is that, you know, you would get a report for that specific location. And then when you get the report, it's going to give you all of the data. And then I will, through the video training, it'll teach you a process of cleaning up all of that data and then
Okay.
determining which of those homes best lines up with the home that you're specifically looking at.
Okay.
Right. And so, but for the sake of this call, you know, what I want to do and is actually show you how I would recommend that you would figure out the answer to that question. Okay.
Okay.
And the past couple of times I've been on this call, some people have sent me addresses and I've taken up almost the entire time going through one property and trying to get to that answer manually. And I think for the sake of time for this one, I'm not going to spend the entire time doing that. But what I'll do is I'll show you a way that you can get there just through
Okay.
all the information that I currently have. So can you actually put the address in the chat right now?
Sure.
And
I
we
can.
go-
Hold on.
So I'll give you it's more so the way that you need to be thinking about it and the way that you need to clean the data. It's two things. You're cleaning the data and then a way of thinking about the homes that you're looking at, right? You do those two things and it's going to essentially get you to the answer that will be far more reliable than what you'd be having if you didn't go that way. You got it in the chat there. Perfect. Thank you. It's a unit, so we're looking at condo. Okay, so here's the first thing that you guys want to know is if you go to my channel, right, my YouTube channel, just type in my name, go to playlists and scroll down to my 3 different playlists that are down here. You won't see these ones here, you'll just see these 3. There'll be one called 1.0, and this is the first course that I've ever made. This is actually kind of what started off everything for me. And this course here talks about how to extract all of the data from AirDNA manually. Okay. The purpose of it is for you to be able, the purpose of that course is actually different than what I'm recommending. It is meant to teach you how to manually take everything out of AirDNA and understand how to understand what to purchase within a market. Okay. Which I now provide to you guys through the 2.0 course. And it's all extracted using my software, which is a little bit different. It speeds things up and it's significantly better than this course here. The reason I'm talking about this course is because this course will teach you how to pull clean data out of AirDNA. Okay. And that's the main thing within this, 1 hour training that you will learn of how to pull that data out and how to make sense of it. And so when you're pulling out that clean data, the same process that I would teach for you to just extract an entire location, you just do it for the homes that are close to what you're looking to get, right? So as an example, I'm hoping this is making sense, but I know sometimes I can be a little bit confusing with the way I explain things, but essentially you're looking at a property in Gulf Shores, right? It's a condo, it's a 1-bedroom, 2-bath. Is that accurate, or is it a 2-bedroom, 2-bath?
It's accurate.
It's accurate, okay. Very rare to see a 1-bedroom with 2 bathrooms. So I just want to make sure. So what I would do then, right? This is the process. I'll show you guys that this is truly my process. And that I still do this on a day-to-day basis. Well, as of a week ago, I used to do this every single day. We've changed it up just a little bit, but for the most part, it's still the exact same. So I'm going to be pulling this up as for reference. So you guys can see. Give me 1 second. All this stuff I have to kind of load. It takes a little bit to load, so I do apologize. But let's go like this. So if I so every single address you see here is a property valuation that I've done. And so what I'm trying to just do right now is get to an example of this. So as you can see here, this is a property that's a 3-bedroom within Long Pond, Pennsylvania. It's the Poconos. And what I did was I extracted this data that you see right here manually out of AirDNA, which is the exact thing that I teach you guys to do and that I recommend that you do. And if you want to just write these different titles down, this is the data that I find to be the most useful to gather when trying to evaluate one specific property, right? So there's I want to see the link. I want to know what the annual revenue is. I want to know what the days available is, and I won't take anything over 250. Once again, for the sake of time, go through this course and you'll learn all the different little things that I consider that matter. And then this row here is the only one that I have a formula that I put together. And the formula is just simply 365 days times by occupancy times by average nightly rate. Okay. The reason I'm doing that is because 1 second. Sorry. The reason I'm doing that formula is because all of this number here is the one that AirDNA is going to show you, but it's not over an entire year, right? So as an example, this one here, there's 2 months worth of data that's missing. And so what I want to know is how much would they have done if they completed the entire year? That way, everyone's sort of at the exact same playing field. Like we're comparing apples to apples here, right? And so what I do is I just take the occupancy and the average nightly rate of that home and I times it by 365 so I can get the true full year number, right? The actual annual revenue number. And I find this to be significantly more helpful, and it's about 90 to 95% accurate because we're only missing like a month or two. And so anyways, this is the only one that I use, create a formula, and then everything else I'm getting, all of these I'm getting from AirDNA, and all of this I'm getting from Airbnb. Okay. And it's just the most important thing is without a doubt this and this. These are the 2 main things that you're going to use, which is the link and the actual revenue, so you can kind of compare it. Everything else that's on here, you're just generally using to double check your work, right? So like, see, this person has 12 guests, you know, maybe they have a really shitty home, like that should be making 47, but for some reason it's making 60. I'd be like, why is that? Okay, they're allowing 12 guests. Maybe that's the reason why they're doing it, because they're going for the heads in bed strategy. So that makes sense as to why they're making more money than I think that they should be making, right? Anyways, I'm adding in too many steps right now that I don't need to be adding in. Let's head back here. So first off, you're going to use this course to teach you how to extract the data from AirDNA. Then you're going to be using these pieces of information to actually pull that information out. Okay. Everything you see up here is just a way for me to track all the different properties that I go through. Okay. And so first step is that we're going to pull all this information out. And so what I would do is I would have the subscription to AirDNA. If you're going to be buying a home that's going to cost you thousands and thousands of dollars, spend the $99 it's going to cost you to get a subscription for 1 month to AirDNA. Okay. It's worth every single penny. And what you do is you said Gulf Shores, right? So Gulf Shores, Alabama. Am I getting this right, Sophia?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Then I get rid of all these filters over here. And I'm just going to be looking at the 1-bedrooms, right? So if I just highlight the 1-bedrooms, I'm now looking at only 1-bedrooms. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to figure, you can see that when I do that, I've got a grouping over here, and over here, and even a little bit back here. So what I want to do is I want to figure out where your property lies so that I know which grouping to pay the most attention to. Because generally, if it's within that area, I want to start my research within that specific area, right? And I can see you're right down there, which means that I'd be working with this grouping of information to start, and then I would move to that one as the second set of information, right? Because, you know, this is pretty obvious stuff, but I mean, if you had a home over here, right? I
Mhm.
would not start over here and start gathering data from over here when you're way up here, because these are two completely different areas, even though they're in the same little market. They're going to pull in different revenue, right? Just like little logical, that's, I mean, it's a super logical, simple thing, but that's sort of step one. Then from here, what you do, okay, is you're going through and you're trying to find good data. And once again, the video training is going to teach you what good data is, but just as a reference for everybody, once again, good data is somebody who has been an active host for almost a full year, and they've just been doing it the full time, not part-time. And then we want them to be, this number here talks about how long AirDNA has been tracking their calendar. So we want it to be over 250 days, because that's almost going to be a full year, right? It's only missing about 3 months or so. And then on top of that, we also want to see a good amount of reviews, because within, you know, a year, you're generally going to get more than 20 reviews. And so when I see that this home has over 262 days, that it's been tracked by AirDNA, that's over 250, so that meets the first criteria. And then the second one is I see that it has over 57. And now what this tells me is I go, okay, this might be good data. It's met the first two pieces of criteria. The third piece is ensuring that there's been a review every single month. And so I'm going to come in here. I'm going to check to see if it's had a review every single month. I click on the little review number there. It's going to bring me to the review section. And then I go through the calendar to ensure that it's had a review every single month. As you can see right off the bat, this one has not had a review since August. That's super concerning. We're missing almost 4 months worth of data now. So I go, okay, most likely not real. However, Gulf Shores is a very, very, very seasonal market, right? So if you also own this data, you can go over to the seasonality section here. And what it's going to do is pop open and show you what the peak season is and what the low season is, right? And so if it's beet red, that means that it's peak season. If it's dark blue, that means that it's slow season. And what you can see from this is that even in September and October, there's tons of red, right? This is a lot of red for a market to have. And so for this location to not have reviews during those 2 months at a minimum is very concerning, right? To not have any reviews during any month is concerning, but even though this isn't peak season, but there's still stuff going on, right? There should be reviews. So I would be like, hey, I'm not going to use this data as useful data. I'm just going to ignore it, right? And essentially what you're doing is you're just following this process of trying to confirm if the data is accurate or not. You're going through it over and over again in each one of these different areas, right? Then when you do get good data, you simply take that data and you enter it into this sheet, okay? And then you add your formula so you figure out what the full year revenue is. And then once you've done that, you can highlight all of this, okay? You would highlight all of this. And just, this is for anyone who doesn't know Google Sheets or Excel. You highlight all that, you click this little filter button right here. Now, I already have the filter button on here, so I don't have to click it. But the reason I'm recommending that you do this, okay, is because when you click this little filter button, it's going to allow you to filter all of this data within the sheet. And that, what I always do is I come here and I organize everything from Z to A, which is going to put everything in order from who's making the most to who's making the least, okay? So after you've gone through all of this different data and you've pulled in this scenario, 10 different listings, right? You want to organize it from who's making the most to who's making the least, because that is going to be the easiest way for you to go through the data and see a difference in the data. Start to see like the home starting to get worse or starting to get smaller or starting to not have as many amenities as they start to make less and less money, right? And the reason that's so important is because it's doing two things. One, it's making logical sense, right? So you're like, okay, this place is smaller than the one above it. Therefore, it makes logical sense that it's making less money. We want to see that, because that also tells us that we know the data is accurate when we're seeing that. When it starts making less money, we're like, okay, that makes sense, right? And it should continue like that all the way down. It should continue to make sense as we go all the way down. And on top of that, It's also going to allow you to really easily see what features and amenities are people have at the very top in comparison to what they have at the bottom, right? And what generally is going to happen is the stuff right in the middle is going to be the gold for everybody. Okay. And the reason being is because usually the homes at the top are luxury, waterfront, massive, all of these things. The ones at the bottom are people who have no idea what they're doing. They don't list the home well, they take bad photos, all that stuff. But these ones in the middle are going to be sort of that the good Airbnb, the hosts, the ones that have figured out how to design a home well, list it well, take good photos, and market it well, to drive revenue out of a home that's not as nice as a luxury home. You know what I mean? And that's those are the people that we're going to want to learn the most as we possibly can from, right? Is this making sense so far?
It is.
Yeah. Okay. So what I'm recommending to you, just to sort of summarize, go through the course on YouTube, the 1.0 course, buy the subscription to AirDNA, right? Go through each one of these pieces of data, find the good data, take that good data and put it onto a spreadsheet. Now, then organize that spreadsheet from who's making the most to who's making the least. Okay. Then just open up every single one of these listings and go through it and start making notes on every single one of them. Write down what you're seeing. I'm seeing that the very first property I'm seeing here, it's got a beach in the backyard, it's lakefront, it's a significantly better property. This next one I'm seeing, it's a really good listing, it's a cabin home, it's a large home, it has all of the typical amenities, game room, hot tub, etc. Now this next one, it's a lakefront home, large home, not very comparable, right? The reason this is important, okay, just in case you didn't pick up on this, the first one is a lakefront home, the second one's not, the third one is, right? Which means this second one here is the most important piece of information because a non-lakefront home is beating a lakefront home, right? And that's important because a non-lakefront home is going to be a lot cheaper than a lakefront home. And so this person here has essentially been able to make $142,000 without being on the lake, whereas this person who's on the lake is making $144,000. Therefore, this person is winning by a long shot because they probably paid significantly less for their home in comparison to this person, right? This is sort of a little bit different. When you're trying to compare one specific home, like the property that you're looking at right now, you're trying to compare and figure out exactly how much this home's going to make. That piece, what I just told you, really doesn't matter, but it's something that you want to pick up on in case you don't go for this home. So you don't end up going for it and you have to decide to try and find something else. Well, you want to try and figure out what this person's doing right within their market and try and hunt what they have done and replicate what they have done, right? Anyways, a little side tangent. That makes sense too?
It did. So you're going through a process of not necessarily discounting an area, but figuring out how you can win in that area.
Always. Yeah. So you're trying to figure out, how do you win in this area? What are the things that are allowing a home to win within that market, right? Every market has a formula of what does best. What are the amenities and features that does best within this market in comparison to another market, right? Every market's a little bit different as well. Does that make sense?
It does.
Okay. Did I explain what you asked there? Could you ask that again? You're saying that not only am I trying to figure out what these homes are doing, but also how to win?
Yes, because I was wondering, am I just totally discounting an area? So this is the Fort Morgan area of Gulf Shores. Is there a formula or analysis say, no, you don't want to be in Fort Morgan? Or is it an analysis that says this is how you win in Fort Morgan?
Both, actually. It is literally both. There's you as you're getting one answer, you're getting the other one. They go hand in hand, right?
Okay.
The reason being is because the first one being, is this a market worth being in, right? As you're trying to, the answer to that, right, is the home costs this much and I can make this much off of that home, right? So the home costs 500,000, I can make 100,000. If that's the formula for that market, that's a good market. You can make it work in that market, right? But if it's the home costs $1 million and I'm going to make 100,000, then you might not be able to make it work in that market, right? But that's the first question that you're trying to answer, right? And as you're answering that question, you're going through the data, and what you're learning as you're going through it, you just can't help it because you're trying to understand what causes a home to make 100,000, right?
Mhm.
You're looking at all of the key features, you're writing out all the main things that they have. And so by trying to figure out if that market is worth it, you're also learning what the top properties are doing that are allowing them to win, which just means you're learning the formula of that market. Does that make sense?
Does.
Okay.
So what if you see maybe one or two making six figures, then the other ones are kind of in that mid range? Does that move the needle one way or the other?
Kind of like this here, like where you have a couple doing 140, you have a couple doing 115, and then you have everybody else doing 60.
Yeah, like it's almost half.
Almost half, yeah, pretty well half, right?
Mhm.
When you say move the needle, do you mean, is this a market you should be concerned about, or is this a market that you should run away from, or what's the
Yeah,
thought
I'm
there?
wondering, are the top four anomalies that something totally out of the ordinary, and the real numbers is 5 through 10.
So the reality is that they're all real numbers,
Mhm.
right? They're these homes here look a certain way, and these homes here look a certain way, right? As you can see, just from like these first four, two of them are lakefront and two of them are really great listings, right? And then all of a sudden, then I could open up all these and go through them and different things like that, but like
Mhm.
just as an example here, here's one that's the fifth listing, and this fifth listing here is doing 65, which is the first drop off between these two,
Mhm.
right? And this one has no game room, right? Whereas this one has a game room. I wrote all the amenities, and to me, that I've done the Poconos area so many times. So instead of writing, there's a certain formula of amenities that work within the Poconos, and so instead of writing it all out every single time, I just write all of the amenities.
Mhm.
To me, that means something. To you guys, it might not mean anything, but it does. So what I like at just a glance, without opening all these listings and trying to figure it out, just at a glance, I can clearly see that this one's already starting to do something wrong, right? And then I write here, good but not great, right? Has Lonnie's nothing special. Backyard with fireplace, but no, and the hot tub, but no game room. Again, so look at like these two people have no game room, whereas this one does. These two are lakefront, and so that game room is clearly a key feature that's technically, logically, is probably making it do better, right? So I guess that's what I'm trying. So what I'm trying to say, without having to open up all these listings and go through it,
Mhm.
is that just because they look like anomalies doesn't mean that it's bad data or impossible. It just
Mhm.
means that there's something about those homes that people are willing to pay significantly more than these ones, right? And your job is to figure out what is the difference between those, right? And why are people willing to pay so much more for these? And are these homes here homes that aren't that much more expensive than these ones, right? Is there like a $100,000 difference, $200,000 difference? What is it? Because it might be a beautiful return if you can get that instead. Does that make sense?
It does.
Okay. So to keep going here, I'm gonna go from the top again, right? One more time, just because that's a great way to keep remembering things. First thing to do is go through the 1.0 course to learn how to sort through the bad data and grab only the data. Then you're gonna go to your area, you're gonna go to your specific location, you're gonna look at only your unit sizes, and you're gonna try and pull out as many pieces of good information from here that you can. Then you're gonna move to the next nearest area. You're gonna start pulling that information out as well. You're gonna put it into a spreadsheet, and then you're going to organize it from who's making the most to who's making the least. And then you're going to open up every single one of those listings, and you're going to make notes on every single one of those listings. Okay. And then what's going to happen is, as you're doing this, you're going to end up figuring out where you fall within this list, right? You're going to figure out if your home matches up with these three, if it matches up with these two, if it matches up with the bottom two. You're going to know where, if you were to take your home, design it the way that you think you would design it, and then put it onto Airbnb, you're going to figure out where within this grouping you would fall based off of the structure. So how big the home is, what features, amenities it has, what you can do with it, and like how you're going to design, how you're going to list it, right? You'll know exactly where you'll end up, right? And as an example, you can see here that there's a huge grouping of homes that are all doing 60. which is awesome data, right? To have like 4 homes all doing the exact same amount is always very, very helpful because they generally all look the exact same. And for me, I was like, this home's 100% gonna end up at 60,000. Like I'm very confident that it's not a 120,000 home, it's a $60,000 home, right?
Mm.
And you know, if we do everything right, we might be able to beat these people. So we'll end up maybe a little bit higher than them. But in the worst case scenario, we're gonna end up at 50, which is near what these bottom people are doing, right? And that's just because I can see the bones of these homes. I can like when I say bones, I'm talking about this what the home looks like on the outside. Is it like a log cabin, or is it a boring looking home? You know what I mean? Is the living room, is the living room, is there 1, 2, or 3? And then what's the size of those living rooms, right? What does the kitchen look like? What do the bathrooms look like? What size is the deck in comparison to their deck? What size is the backyard in comparison to the backyard? How much do I think that I can put into this property in comparison to what they put into their property, right? All these like little things. And all you're trying to do is just trying to find the one that you line up the best with. And once you find that one that you line up the best with, you're like, okay, that's likely where I'm going to be. Can I do better or worse than that? Right? Does that make sense?
It does. So is this, where do we get this spreadsheet from?
I don't actually have this spreadsheet. I don't think I have this spreadsheet. What I'll do, I have a different spreadsheet that is similar to this. Let me pull it up right now. I think I have it under templates. I think this is it. Yeah, this is it here. So I'll share this in the chat right now. And you guys, this one will be a little bit different because this one I made, that one that I just showed you, I work in every single day. And so I'm constantly adjusting and trying to make it better for the way that I do things. But this one will get you about 90% of the way there. You'll just have to change it up a little bit. If you want to learn more about this one, oh shit, this isn't it. All right, never mind. This is, apologize, this is not it. What I'll do is this instead. So I'm just gonna take this, I'm gonna go copy to new spreadsheet. Open. Okay, give me 1 second. Roll property evaluation for Rachel's students template. And then I'll put this, so yeah, I'll just put this in there. What I would, you'll have viewer access. Okay, so what that means is that if you want your own version of this, you just have to come in here and go file, make a copy, and then make a copy. You can change up the copy as much however you want. And then what you'll do is you'll come in and you'll just delete everything out of here, or you can leave this as is and just go duplicate. And on the duplicate one, you can then remove everything because the other version already has it. Just do that for you right now. Does that work for you guys? So you have that.
Yes, that's helpful because I'm assuming that the 1.0 class was going to give us these headings or, the data we were supposed to grab, like days available, full year revenue and all of that.
It's not, because the 1.0 course is meant to do something different. The main thing you're going to get from the 1.0 course is just understanding how to pull the data out so that it's good. Yeah. Okay. And so anyways, I'm putting this in the chat right now.
Thank you.
So that you guys all have that in the chat. You'll have to make your own copy. Please no one request to get editor's access because you will not get it. So all right. So that should answer your question, Sophia, which is learn how to get the data out, pull out the right data, organize the data, then make notes on all the different homes that you pull out, and figure out where you fall within that ranking, and then you'll know exactly how much you'll end up making.
Exactly what I needed. Thank you so much, John.
Perfect. Okay, I see that there's another question here, which is, I'm looking at this property and would love to have your opinion on the location. Opinion on the location. Oh, okay. So I actually don't have the answer to this. Someone's asking for the my opinion on the differences between Lake Harmony, Blakesley, and Albrightsville. I don't know, Elena, that's you're asking that. So I actually don't know the answer to that question, because of a couple different things. So it's a complicated question, because in the Poconos, there are a ton of different homeowners associations all over the place, like all over, like there's so many different little neighborhoods, and then even within each of the different neighborhoods there could be different homeowners associations. So literally Albrightsville, I learned today that it has 2 different homeowners associations, and I've been doing research in Albrightsville for like a year and a half, and just today like I found that out, where in one half of it you cannot have a fire pit, and the other one you can. And with the fire pit being one of the main revenue drivers for the Poconos, not being able to have a fire pit legally in that area would make me not want to buy a home in that area. Could I tell you which one's which? I can't, because I don't know it that well, right? All I know is kind of the general idea of how much homes are making in those different areas. I do know that Lake Harmony is a more expensive place than Albrightsville, just because I have looked at the 2 different homes side by side, like the price of a home in Lake Harmony in comparison to the price of a home in Albrightsville. The Lake Harmony is a little bit more expensive. And I think that's just simply because it's got a better lake than Albrightsville does, like better HOAs. And so naturally the homes are going to be a little bit more expensive. And then Blakesley, I really don't have like any true information on Blakesley to be able to give you the right answer. However, with all that being said, what I would recommend is contact a local realtor. Ask them as many questions as you possibly can about all these different things, because they're going to know way more about that general area. There's a guy named Xander that you can reach out to who's pretty good down there. I don't have his information, so I can't help you, but if you find a realtor named Xander, he's the guy that we use for the fund. But yeah, so I would say you need to talk to a local for that to get a better feel for it. I'm quite literally have to do this for all of the Poconos right now. So I'm just going to tell you what I'm going to do. For the fund, we buy in the Poconos all over the place, and there's tons of different places. So what I'm going to be doing is creating a market analysis for each one of those different areas, right? I've kind of already got this started. I can pull it up and show you what I mean by a market analysis. So look at, it's the thing that Rachel has purchased for every single one of you guys, which is, so this is Long Pond, a portion of that area, right? And I have all the 3-bedroom data, all the 4-bedroom data, the 5-bedroom data. And what I'm going to be doing is going through each one of these different areas and cleaning up all of the data and trying to understand, which homes are making the top line, which ones are kind of making around 100,000. The ones that are making around 75, what do those ones look like? And trying to understand what all the different revenue drivers are, and what the home structures and bones look like for each one of these different areas. And then I'm going to be doing this for probably about 10 to 15 different Poconos areas. And essentially what should end up happening is I should know where the homes are the cheapest, but the revenue is the most, right? That's always what I'm trying to figure out. Like the 3 bedrooms consistently making more, or let's say 3 bedrooms are consistently making 100,000 in this market, and homes cost 300,000. They're also making 100,000 in this market, but homes cost 500,000. And you go, okay, this is the market that we're going to be buying in, right? Or we're going to buy more in at least. And so it's something that is like a process of elimination. You have to go through each area, you got to go through each market, and you got to try and figure it out as you go. But that's because I'm super anal with data and crazy about this stuff. So that's a lot of work to get to the answer. Whereas in reality, all 3 of those markets, you can cash flow in all 3 of them. And you could just do some high level research in each one of them, and you would end up finding one that would work out. You don't need to go and rip apart all the Poconos to try and figure that out, is what I'm trying to say. Does that help?
Okay, thank you so much. Yes.
Okay.
My husband, he's doing a great job figuring it out. I'm sorry, I'm losing my voice.
That's okay. No worries. No.
Yes, he used your method to figure it out, and he's doing a great job. And just,
Perfect. Yeah. Talked to your husband a couple of times now, and he definitely he even taught me something I didn't know how to do, which I actually been meant to reach back out and ask how I forgot how he did that. But anyways, we have a new way of doing that now, so.
Yeah.
Uh,
And pretty sure we'll have another conversation sometimes.
yeah,
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 thank you so much.
yeah, of course. Let me know. I want to know how that goes as well. And unfortunately, I can't share with you the research that I get because I'd lose my job. But if you want to share your research with me, I'll take it.
Okay, all right.
Cool. Okay. So anyone else have another question or a location that you're looking into? Anything along those lines?
John, I have a question. So
Yep.
when you was doing the example for Sophia for the Gulf Shores,
Mhm.
went to I think that was Fort Pierce, I'm not sure what it was. What radius do you use? So I'm looking at the Fort Lauderdale area. And so, but not, Fort Lauderdale, I guess is I'm gonna put that in quotation marks because I'm looking outside of Fort Lauderdale, but the surrounding areas. So I guess my question is, what radius? So say, okay, so for
I think I know
instance,
what you're asking. You're asking like say if you had a home like right here, right? How far around would you pull data from? Is that the question? Yeah.
yeah,
Okay. So it depends by the market. Each market's gonna work out a little bit different. And I used to be very strict about this rule, but the more that I did research, the more that I learned. And so when I first started in Chicago, I'll pull up Chicago so you guys can get some visual on this. When I started in Chicago's a massive city. There's huge differences between this, one side of the street compared to the other side of the street. Then there's the different pockets all over the place. There's there's a ton going on, is what I'm trying to say. And obviously you have the downtown core of Chicago right here, right?
mhm,
Where I had the majority of my locations were all right here in this little pocket. Okay. The closer I could get to the city, like right here, the more money I would make. The further I got away from this neighborhood and went over here, the less money I would end up making. It was quite literally, if I had a 4-bedroom here, it would make about 100,000. If I had a 4-bedroom here, it'd make about 120. If I had a 4-bedroom here, it'd make about 80,000. There was just like, it was just like you get a little bit further away from the main location that people are coming to visit, and you're going to start making less money. And that was that's just how it went, right? And the further I got away, the more that would happen. And if I were to head over this way, I would start losing money as well, right? And then if I went down this way, I'd make significantly less money. It was just like the way that it kind of worked. Like everything revolved around wanting to go downtown because that was the main thing that people were going to when it came to Chicago, right?
right.
But if you take a place like Blue Ridge, so are you just in case anyone's not familiar with Blue Ridge is
Georgia.
yeah. So for anyone that might not be, because I just learned about Blue Ridge recently. Blue Ridge is an example of an area that it's got a cute town that people like to go to. There's a lot of mountains, a lot of views. You can get a cabin that's kind of stuck away in the woods, away from everybody else. You got a lot of seclusion. It's a really nice place to be, right? But it's a huge piece of land, right? So like Blue Ridge itself is this little spot right here.
Mhm.
However, you could have a home here or here. You could have like one right by Blue Ridge or way over here. And if the homes were the exact same and everything was exactly the same, like the views, the type of cabin, everything, they would both end up making the exact same amount of money, right? And it wasn't until you would get like way over here that you would start making significantly less, or like way down here. Like you could be, in other words, what I'm trying to say is that if you were 5 minutes away from the town of Blue Ridge or 20 minutes away from the town of Blue Ridge, you're making the exact same amount of money if your cabin is apples to apples. And the reason that I've kind of logicked out for myself as to why I think that is because people are not necessarily going to go to Blue Ridge. That's something that they're going to do while they're there, but it's not the only thing that they're going to do. They're going for a cabin that is secluded in the mountains that has views. That's what they want, right? And they don't care if the mountain's here or over here. or sorry, yeah, they don't care if the cabin is in either of these locations, as long as the cabin gives them that experience and they have the ability to drive to Blue Ridge, they're happy, right? And so I know this doesn't directly answer your question for Fort Lauderdale, but I'm kind of trying to get there. So in a sense, what I use two extreme examples, right? You've got Chicago, which is all centered around this one core downtown. There's really nothing else in Chicago. And then in Blue Ridge, you just have this experience, right? And if you think about it, don't think of the home, think of the experience. Okay. So the experience that you're getting in Chicago is the downtown core, being able to be right in that downtown, like getting to it as soon as you can, going to all tourist traps, restaurants, all that kind of stuff. That's the experience. Closer you are to that, the better it is. With Blue Ridge, the experience is a cabin out in the woods doing whatever, right? So if we think of Fort Lauderdale, okay, there's sort of two experiences that you're going to get with Florida always, which is one, beach, other one, pool, okay? Because there's never really there's not like a downtown core of Fort Lauderdale that people are just like dying to get to, that they're flying across the entire country to be like, I can't wait to go to the downtown Fort Lauderdale, right? They're like, I can't wait to go to, they're like, I'm going to take advantage of the Fort Lauderdale beach, but it's not like there's quite a few beaches in Fort Lauderdale as well, right? So it's like, they could be over here, they could be over here, they could be over here. It's not like Clearwater Beach, where in Clearwater Beach, it's on the other side. And if you're not familiar with it, if you're in Clearwater Beach, it's like the place to be. It's one little spot. All the other ones are good, but not nearly as great as the Clearwater Beach, right? So it's more condensed of a specific location to go. So I'm taking a really long time to answer this, but the reason being is because I really want to make sure that this is like a understood logic of you're providing the experience. Okay. So with Fort Lauderdale, if you're not on the beach, you're off the beach, right? People are going to have to drive to the beach regardless, whether they're here or over here, okay? But the experience that they're going to get from a home that's here or over here is going to be the home and the pool, right? In the backyard. That's it's going to be the home will generally be the same. If it's here, it's going to have a house with a backyard and a pool. And over here, it's going to be a house, backyard, and a pool. If they were the exact same, right? They would likely end up making the exact same amount of money because neither of them are directly on the beach, right? And they're both, people are going to have to drive to both of these to get all the way there, no matter what, right? And so what I'm trying to say is like if you're looking at a home that was, let's pull some data. If you're looking at a home that's, let's say, like right here as an example, you know, it's a better example. I'll just give you a real life example, except on this. This whole section around here, I've used to figure out the price of a 4-bedroom within Fort Lauderdale. All of this, right? This is a big piece of land to be grabbing data from within Fort Lauderdale. And it goes through a lot of different sort of highways. It goes through a lot of different like neighborhoods, but all of this is generally going to feel like a similar experience, okay? The data that I would refuse to use, so see this home here? This home here is sort of just, it's in a neighborhood, right? This one over here backs onto the water. Those are two different experiences that you're going to be getting. Do you see what I mean by that?
Yeah.
Right? So if I was evaluating a home that was surrounded by other homes and was not on the water, then I would want to try and grab as many homes like that. And then vice versa, if I was evaluating a home that was along the water and had at waterfront access, something like that, and had the views and you could take out kayaks, maybe it gave you a boat, then I'm going to want to grab as many pieces of data that have that because it's the experience, right? It's like being beachfront and not beachfront. Two sort of like polar opposites there. So what I guess what I'm trying to say, if I were to summarize, is that if you have a home that you're evaluating and it's like right here, okay, I would be trying to figure out all the main features of that home, like the bone structure of that home, living rooms, backyard, pool size, all that. And then I would be grabbing from all around it to try and try to find ones that match up best. But I'd be trying to start off with the ones that are the absolute closest to that specific home. The closer they are, the more accurate it's going to be, right? but you can pull from a good radius to get it. Now, the home directly beside it, the host might have no idea what they're doing, right? And so then that's kind of useless. But if you can find like a good listing that's put together well, that's very, similar bones as you, and it's not too far away, that's gold. That's literally gold, right? The caveat to this, okay, so the sort of like one thing that's going to matter here is there will be, you have to have some local knowledge, right? Or at least like, I honestly don't have local knowledge for Fort Lauderdale, but if I was evaluating a home over here, I probably wouldn't use data from homes that are right over here. And that's just because I can see that these homes over here are right by this main down, like I'm assuming this is the sort of downtown area. I know that these homes here are like multi-million dollar homes. I know that the multi-million dollar homes kind of flood into this general area over here as well. And so if I was pulling from a home that's over here, I would kind of want to stick with homes that are in this general area. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay. Was that helpful?
Yes, it was. And I just have one more question. Have you ever reverse engineered where you didn't have an address, but you analyzed an area to see like what's the best area to look for a home?
That's literally the one thing that I do. That's the main thing that I do and teach people to do, is reverse engineering it. So I actually like to say don't have an address, and try and figure out, because I feel like if you have an address, you're kind of wasting your time, because the vast majority of the time you're just like hoping that the home works out.
Right.
Whereas if you reverse engineer it and take a look at all of the data, then you have all this data and you can actually figure out where the most money is being made within that market. Okay. Have you gotten one of these reports yet?
I have not.
Okay, so we need to do that.
Yes.
So most people have probably seen this, but I'm going to just show you quickly so you can get a glimpse at it, so you have an understanding. But on the left-hand side, what we're looking at, is Phoenix, Arizona. And on the left-hand side, what we have are all the different zip codes in Phoenix. And they're in order of where the most listings are to where the least amount of listings are. And then up top, what we have are all the different unit sizes. So a studio, 1 bedroom, 2 bedroom, 3 bedroom, so on and so forth. Where those two connect is the average annual revenue for an Airbnb in that area, right? So 1 bedroom within that zip code makes about $28,000 a year on average as an Airbnb. And so the way I explain this to people is just simply look for the biggest number, whether that be the biggest number on the entire sheet or the biggest number out of all of the 1 bedrooms. You just simply look for the biggest number because that's where the most money is being made on average. And generally where the most money is being made is where you're going to be able to make a cash flow. Like that's likely where you're going to be able to make money. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay. This is sort of the tip of the iceberg. And then from there, what you do is you press show details. It's going to pop open all of this other data. And all of the other data, you'll learn how to like go through it and make sense of it. Once again, this is sort of you'll end up getting one of these sooner than later. But you do end up coming up with like an answer. So you clean up all the data. So you can see all this is good data now. And you end up coming up with this answer of exactly what you need for your home to make 100, 130,000, whatever that number ends up being for that specific location. And then you go look for the home, right? So in this example, a 4 bedroom could make around 100 to 140,000 if it has all these features, but it has to be between 500 and 700,000. You then use that criteria to put it into Zillow and go find the home that matches up with that. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Perfect. Okay. So reverse engineering it is definitely the way to go.
Thank you.
No problem. Ryan?
Hey, John. So we have a property that we are under contract for. We researched the area. It's in Western Michigan on the coast of Lake Michigan. And it seems it's very VRBO centric, where a lot of the properties are bringing in, it seems like with the value of them, they're legit bringing in a decent amount of income, but they're not nice quality. And then there's one that is nice quality that's blowing the other ones out of the water. So we want to, entering this market, I guess my question is, can you over amenitize if most of the competition isn't doesn't have all the bells and whistles, or is it just you have a better opportunity to make more of a profit because you don't have as much competition? And how would you look at that?
when you say over amenitize, you mean, you almost make it sound like it's a bad thing. Is that what you're meaning? Like you put too
I'm-
many?
Can it be a bad thing? Because we want to add in a sauna, we want to add in a hot tub. It's in Michigan, so that, summer is the peak season, but we want a reason to bring people there in the winter time. And so we're adding, a game room, a theater area. So all those things I think should add value, but I'm wondering, can you go too far if the competition doesn't really have a lot of the things you do have? I guess
I'll
return
put
on investment.
Yeah, I'll put it bluntly. Fuck no. You will, that is
All
the
right.
best thing that you can possibly ever do. That is how you win in Airbnb. That's how you beat the Airbnb bus. I love hearing that. I got like chills in my body hearing how you're putting all those things through and nobody else has it. That is literally sorry for swearing if there's kids around. I apologize to everybody. But I
Well,
just
that's
wanted
good.
Yeah, you're over a minute. Like that's literally how I teach people to win. That's how
Okay.
that is how we at the fund that I work for, that's our strategy, right? So like we look for backyards that are massive and we'll just throw every single amenity in the backyard because think about it. Imagine if you were going to book out an Airbnb and they had to choose between your home and the competition's home, and there's a little bit of a price difference between the two. But your home has like 10 times the amount of amenities, right?
Right.
You logically would always take that home, even if it was a little bit more, just because there's so much more you're going to be able to do with it, right? So without a doubt, like you're good. Like that is the best thing you could do. And
Great.
proof on that is that one thing on it is that you're not really going to know what your potential is until like you don't know how much you're going to make because your home's going to be so much different than what the data that currently exists, and you're likely going to do significantly better than what they're doing. So it's going to be really hard for you to predict exactly how much you're going to end up making, right?
Right.
You
Yeah.
end up making more than everybody else. And we at the fund have bought a lot of homes in the Poconos, and a lot of the homes in the Poconos are not done well. And we went in and overdid our homes. We out-designed them. We over-amenitied them. And we just tried to put as much value as we possibly could into them. And they're all crushing the competition, right? So like, in other words, we predicted the home was going to make 70,000 and it's making like 120,000 because we just added so much, right? And now one thing that I'm going to throw out there for you to not shoot yourself in the foot is that pricing your home is actually going to be really difficult because you're not going to have any sort of metric to base it off of, right? If you might
Right.
look at the market and be like, oh, everyone's booked, renting for $500 a night, but your listing is like 10 times better than everybody else. So what you need to do is actually put your price at an amount that makes you feel uncomfortable, like kind of makes your stomach sick, where you're like, I don't think anyone's going to book this for $2,000 a night over the weekend, over the summer, right? You feel like that would just be insane. But if you have enough leadway, like a 6-month window, I would put your nightly rate at a price that was uncomfortably high and see if anyone books it, because you really have no idea what people are willing to pay for your listing because there's nothing else in the market that has that. That make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. And I appreciate how strongly you responded, because we're at the point where we're looking to invest all the upfront capital into all the amenities. And it's like, it's like, is this going to pay off? We're pretty sure it is based on everything we've heard, but then that helps my mindset going into it.
Yeah.
And it's just to give me an idea, like there's some of the places that we're bringing in like 60 or 70,000, and then there's one place bringing in 240,000. And so, okay, it's an outlier, but we looked at it and the calendar's spotty. It's got reviews every month, and all the other places are more basic, but this one has an indoor pool and a sauna, but it doesn't have a game room, and it's a similar location of where we are. So we're like, I think this is legit, and maybe we could approach this if we, try and be just as good or better than them.
Yeah. Those ones always, that stuff always kind of scares me when there's like one, but I'm glad you said that you check the calendar, you check the reviews, like everything adds up. It has an indoor pool. It makes logical sense. That's making more, right? So
Right.
all that is what I was literally just going to challenge you on and ask you all that, but you've done it, right? So it sounds like it's good data. It's just an outlier because they're doing things differently than everybody else, and you're going to try and compete with that. And I think that's kind of the way that you want to go about it. So and also like those little things that you're doing maybe are costing you $10, $20, $30,000 more. Those little things are going to be the best return of your investment money, of your dollars put in. Do you know what I mean? Because like that's what's going to, you're gonna get that money back faster than the actual home value. Does that make sense?
Yeah, with the cash flow of people booking a higher rate.
Exactly, right? So like, yeah, we spend 10 grand on hot tubs without even thinking about it because we know for a fact we're gonna make that money back within 6 months to 2 years every single time because we added the hot tub in. Because people
Got
will
it.
just always pay a little bit more for it, and that will just give us that money, the return that we're looking for.
Awesome. Thank
cool.
you.
Yeah, of course. Send me that listing when you're done with it. I really want to see it.
Will do.
Gail?
Hey, John, I just wanted to summarize what you was telling Sophia because I'm just starting also. So
Okay.
I was waiting to have my meeting with you.
Gotcha.
Okay, so we go to YouTube and we listen to that video that you told us about 1.0 and the AirDNA. You mentioned we have to get a temporary, a 30-day to get access to that? Because
It's a 1 month subscription.
okay, that's what I was missing. I need to do that. I just wanted to be able to do something over the holidays without being stuck right here, while everybody's on vacation. So I'll request that and then I can go to that until I can get back on your calendar.
I'm gonna get out the violin. We're gonna practice here soon. Okay.
Ryan, do you want to? Thank you. Of
Sorry about that.
course.
We actually have access to it in Slack, y'all, under resources tab.
On the Slack and
In
resources.
Slack, yeah, the resources tab, there's a page subscription to AirDNA. She has the
Okay.
login and the password in there.
Okay, that's what I thought when I was reading in the module. I thought I seen something that we had access to, but I thought that was for the one that Rachel said she already paid for us to
Yeah, sorry, I forgot about
do an
that.
analysis with you.
Right. So you have a couple of things. Like you have the AirDNA. From my understanding, you have a nationwide AirDNA access, like a
Mhm.
username and password that you guys all share, and then you
Mhm.
also get a report from me from whatever location that you want to go into.
All right.
Do you
So-
know what location you want to go into?
I did have Clearwater, Florida in mind. Clearwater, when I was doing just kind of going in the website, just kind of looking at Clearwater, I was just gonna get with you when I speak to you because the prices was kind of far over what I was expecting to pay. So
Gotcha.
I don't know whether I need to rethink that or not, but that's in my backyard, yeah.
Yep, that's definitely step one is what's your budget and are there homes available within that price range? Right. So that could be a good thing. So yeah, so just to summarize, it is 8 o'clock. I do have another call right now, so I have to get going to that. But to summarize, Gail, it's step one is go through the 1.0 playlist. So it's not just a video, it's a playlist. There's like about 15 videos.
Okay,
In total, it's like an hour and a half worth of training.
okay,
So you go through that, then go to using the AirDNA login
Mhm.
that you have, go
Okay.
to Clearwater in this scenario.
okay,
And if you have a home in mind, right? So this is if you have a home in mind and you're trying to figure out how much that home is going to make.
yeah, I
Right.
don't have a home in mind, so I'll,
Okay. Well, if you did, just to
Okay.
summarize, right? You would study that home, like say it's all 4 bedrooms.
okay,
And, it's got a pool and it's got 2 living rooms, right? All those things. And you go, okay, sounds good. Then you go and look at the data to try and find clean data that is similar to the type of home that you're looking to get. So you'd be looking for data that's 4 bedrooms with pools and ideally 2 living rooms. And then
Okay.
you're going to organize it from who's making the most to who's making the least. And then you're going to make notes on every single one of those homes to figure out what their key features and amenities are. And then you're going to figure out where your home that you're looking at would fall within the range of all of those different homes. And that's how you're going to figure out what your home would end up making.
okay,
Okay.
all right. Thank you.
Yeah, of course, no problem. So I really appreciate it, guys. I love talking with all of you guys. I love going through all this different stuff. Love all the questions that you guys have. I hope this is helpful. I really do. If you guys need anything, you can definitely email me. My calendar is going to be a little bit blocked for the next little while, but you can email me and I'll if we need to schedule a call, we'll definitely hop on a call. But yeah, so hope you guys have enjoyed it, and I'll be back next month. So thank you for all the comments. I do appreciate it, guys. Thanks much. And I guess I'm just going to end it here.
Thanks,
Alright.
John. This was great.
Good night. Thanks.
Awesome.
Great.
Awesome. Good to hear. Thanks, guys. All right. Have a good night, everybody. Happy
Happy-
holidays.
Happy